Alright, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a new video. As you can see, I'm at home. I want to talk about something. So, as you can probably tell from the title, I had somewhat of a large autistic meltdown. So, it is currently Monday. On Saturday, it was our work's Christmas do. I've never been to one before. I've been with the company on and off for 22 years. Had a 7-year holiday, but overall 22 years. And I've never been to a work's Christmas party or Christmas do, night out, whatever. The reason for that is because there's obviously quite a high risk of having an autistic meltdown. So let's talk about that. Overall, it was a very good night. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. Beforehand, I did have some anxiety. So what is that anxiety? What causes that? So first off, going on a night out, it's a break to a routine. It's not something I normally do. So that can cause a few issues in itself. I knew beforehand, because there's 50 people going to this thing. We're going to a pub, restaurant and another pub. The likelihood of having a meltdown was extremely high. Obviously, and before I have it, I don't know what kind of meltdown that's going to be. The most common form of meltdown with me is going extremely quiet, going within myself, extremely vigilant, and that's what I ended up having. So there's the high risk of having a meltdown. And then that also brings in other thoughts like no one at work has ever seen that part of me. So how am I going to be judged on that? What are they going to make of... Because at work I have a certain persona. Obviously I'm masking at work. I'm only in the canteen or the TV room for a short amount of time. And although when I'm masking, that's still my personality. It's still who I am. Like, I'm not faking anything. What masking actually is suppressing the autistic traits. Is like, it's really... I find it really hard to explain it. I'm suppressing my autistic self, and not allowing myself to be myself, for want of a better term. So there was that. Is that mask going to slip? Which obviously I was working Saturday morning as well, so I'd been up since 4 o'clock. So the longer the day goes on, the harder it is to mask anyway. So yeah, no one at work has ever seen that side of me. And then there was, am I going to have a sensory overload as well, which I've described how that affects me in a previous video. On, I can't actually understand what people are saying. I hear like a weird noise as they're talking. Will that happen, and how will I be judged on that? It did happen. It happened a lot. I couldn't understand what was being said in the main group. If I focused on a particular person, if I was having a conversation with a particular person, I had to really focus on that person in order to be able to understand what they were saying. So yeah, and obviously with that, it's how am I going to be judged on that? Because if I'm not understanding what you're saying, I can't really take part in that conversation. So quite a lot of the times I was having to get them to repeat themselves, because I just wasn't understanding. So it's like, how am I going to be judged on that? And people do judge. They judge a lot. It's human nature to judge. Everyone does it. I do it. You do it. Everyone does it. And then obviously there's my lack of filters. And I've explained that in a previous video as well, where the information comes in through my conscious mind into my subconscious. My subconscious will get the information, but not pass that back through my conscious brain. So I don't know the words that I'm going to say until I actually hear them. A lot of the studying I've been doing over the last few years has been partly in an effort to try and work with that, sort of train my subconscious mind into what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and so on. Because the last thing I want to do is upset or offend anyone, especially on a works night out. So that created a certain amount of anxiety as well. A lot of people say I don't have filters as an excuse to being rude, whereas the truth of the matter is, with me, is I literally don't have that filter. That part doesn't work in my brain, and I do not want to be rude or offend anyone or upset anyone. It's the last thing I want to do, and I find it extremely frustrating. When that does happen, and I realise, I'm really quite upset by it, because it's never my intention. So I had that contributed to the anxiety as well. I was planning on leaving at about 5 o'clock. I was ready to go at 4 o'clock. One thing I hate massively is waiting to go out. If I've got to go out, waiting to go out, I absolutely hate it. And I really very nearly didn't go, because I was talking myself out of it, like this anxiety, then like I've got to go out and la-di-da-di-da. I very nearly didn't go. But it got to about 4:45 and I was like, no, just get up and go. So I did. I just got up and went. I got to the pub. I didn't see anyone that I knew, so I just hung around. And then I saw a couple of guys that I knew, so I went in. And the funny, it is quite funny, but it's probably where it all started. I walked into the pub, and the first thing, like when I saw them, like the first thing one of them did, Pete, bless him, was a big man hug. Caught me completely by surprise. And as you might have seen from a previous video, one of my triggers is being touched. And yeah, it caught me completely by surprise. And man hugs is not something I'm comfortable with. It's obviously I don't like being touched anyway, so a man hug is quite a big trigger. So yeah, but obviously on a night out, I'm obviously going to expect to get the odd touch and tap on the shoulder and and so on. So it's fine. But even in the first pub, there was so many touches and grabs and arms round and all the rest of it. And I was and obviously there was 50 of us going, so it got really crowded in the pub. So that's where the meltdown started, was in the pub. I was all right when I first got there. I embarrassed Jace, bless him, in front of the barman. That would be the no filters. But shortly after that, I started to get a bit overwhelmed and started to go a bit quieter. I don't think anyone actually noticed. Anyway, so when everyone turned up, we all jumped on the bus. I feel sorry for the bus driver. Bloody hell, poor sod. I'm so glad it wasn't me. Yeah, we all jumped on the bus down to North Street and went off to the restaurant. By then, I was pretty quiet. I was just like following along. We've gone into the restaurant, taken our seats. We're all separated into different separate tables, all in one room, but separate tables. It was extremely noisy. But the atmosphere was really, really good. So Lee, bless him, and I have to take my hat off to Lee. I had spoken to Lee previously and pre-warned him that I may very well go into a meltdown, and no one's seen that before. So when he noticed that I'd gone like almost to saying absolutely nothing, like so quiet, he looked really, really concerned, and it was like, "Are you all right?" And by then, my legs going, so I'm stimming. I'm not talking. I'm really, really quiet, and he got really concerned. And I just said to him, "Yeah, this is why what I was telling you about. This is an autistic meltdown in full, as it's happening, like for me." So yeah, I was quite relieved when the food came, or the starter, because it gave me something tangible that I could understand and I could focus on. I must take my hat off to a few of the guys that went though. They were looking out for me. They had my back. They were a little bit concerned, and more importantly, they were encouraging me. So that would be Lee, Joe. Joe was amazing. Dave was amazing. Brad, who organised the whole thing, like, I don't know how he did it, but he was really supportive. And also Michelle, she was really supportive as well. And in actual fact, Michelle, when it got to go into the third pub, not the third pub, the pub after the restaurant, I was feeling a bit unsure by it. I was looking at it, I was a bit unsure, and I actually said to her, I'm going to go home. And she was like, "Look, you don't know if you're going to like it until you come in. If you come in, see how you feel, and then if you don't like it, you can leave. It's no big deal." So I went in with her, and yeah, it was interesting, but there were some interesting characters in there. But I did really enjoy it. I haven't been to a place like that for 30 years, 25, 30 years. I wasn't dancing, obviously. I've got the rhythm of an ironing board. But it was really enjoyable watching everyone else having fun. I do get a certain amount of enjoyment out of that, seeing everyone else having fun. I was tapping my foot to the music. Yeah, I was enjoying the music. I enjoy loud music. Um, but yeah, those drivers, those friends, I've got a lot of appreciation for the way they were with me. They quite clearly didn't judge me. They were asking questions, and that's which is fine. I expect that, and I'm happy to answer those questions because it raises awareness, particularly when something like that is actually occurring. Because I can say I'm like this because of this. You know, but yeah, in the restaurant, it was very noisy. The food was great. Um, I had a good conversation with Dave and Joe, and they were saying things about how I am and how I word things, and it like praise wise, giving me praise for that, and I find that quite difficult to accept because I'm literally just being me all the time. I'm literally just being me. I can't help but to be me. Um, so yeah, I find that quite strange. It's nice. It's nice to feel appreciated. Um, so yeah, we had a meal. We went out to the Charles Street, I think it is, and yeah, like I say, that was interesting. Interesting, and like obviously by then a lot of them were a little bit wobbly, shall we say. So that was quite amusing. I've given up alcohol anyway, so I was just drinking Coke all evening. But yeah, it was good. It was very crowded. There wasn't a lot of space, and it didn't help the meltdown any. But fortunately, when I am having that meltdown, one thing I do is I try to do things that entertain me, and obviously with all the study I've been doing on human behaviour and things like that, a lot of that entails people watching. So that's just what I've focused on. And like I say, I enjoy watching people enjoy themselves. And yeah, it was really good. It was really good to see everyone dancing around and being a bit silly, and I didn't feel judged at all by anyone, which sort of surprised me because pretty much every time I've ever been out in the past, that has happened, and sometimes it's not been so nice. Because it has been seen that I can be a bit of an easy target in the past. But I put a post on Facebook the morning after, basically saying, I don't know of another group of 50 people that could go out, drink the amount of alcohol that was drunk, and there wasn't even a bad word said to anyone. There was no arguments, no negativity. It was all respectful, really friendly, and that's a little bit mind blowing. Doesn't happen often. Like I say, I've never seen it before. So yeah, kudos to literally everyone that went. As for the part of my anxiety on how I'm going to be judged, I'll find out in the coming days. But certainly on the day, the people that I've just mentioned were extremely supportive, understanding, and they asked questions where they felt they needed to ask questions and so on. And apparently I didn't upset anyone, which is always good, which doesn't surprise me because I wasn't saying a lot. I do sometimes wonder whether that's part of the quietness, is that anxiety about upsetting people. So yeah, I gave one of the guys a lift home because obviously I could drive because I hadn't been drinking. I left about midnight. Um, but yeah, it was good. As for the meltdown itself, it's now Monday, so it's 2 days later, and I still feel bloody exhausted because it really takes it out of you, like mentally, and it feels like physically as well. Like yesterday, I woke up at 6:30 yesterday morning, put the post on Facebook, had a phone call with Lee, and then I went back to sleep, didn't wake up until 12:30, went to bed again last night at 9, and I'm still shattered today. So it does take it out of you. But yeah, that was interesting. It was a good night. Yes, so I've just had to switch cameras because the audio cut off on the other one. Yeah, like I was saying, it was a good night. The guys were really supportive, and I really want to thank them for that because although I'm sure they didn't fully understand what was going on, they were supportive and didn't judge. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much Lee, Joe, Dave, Brad and Michelle. And I'll see you again next time. Please do hit the like, subscribe and notification bell. Leave a comment below and all that good stuff. I'll see you again next time.